Hi everyone, Gary Hassan here. I want to share some thoughts with you regarding a subject that I've got some notes here, a subject that was shared with me by a good friend about mastering our mental and emotional skills. And Craig Manning, who is, let me tell you a little bit about his background. He's been a good friend of mine for over 10 years. He has a PhD. He's a professor of performance psychology and sports psychology consultant. And I've spent over 6 hours with him learning from him the last month or so about how to handle our environment and how people are responding to that. So let me just give you an idea of who this guy is. Craig has coached college teams, the U.S. Olympic ski and snowboarding team. He has worked with NBA teams. For those of you that aren't familiar with the NBA, that's the National Basketball Association. And last year, the 2019 MVP, Giannis, you probably don't even know, but he did a lot of personal coaching with him about mental toughness. In fact, I'm not going to go into all of the research and science that Craig does because he's the expert. I'm not. I just want to share with you a couple of the takeaways that I gained and some action items that you can apply to your business, to your personal life, that I think will really be helpful. And they've helped me. Melissa and I have taught these to our kids. We've encouraged them to learn this content. So I told you a little bit about his credentials. We're going to break this into 3 short videos. This first one will be a little bit longer than the other 2 because I wanted to give you a background on Craig and a little bit of a understanding of what's going on here. Also, he told me so many stories about whether it's the Milwaukee Bucks or the Golden State Warriors and the Red Bull performance team. So the fact that he's sharing these gems with us, if you want more information, you can get his book, and I'll tell you about that later. But here's what he found, that the secret to achieving high performance is building mental toughness. And research has found that those with the ability to control their mind had the greatest success in life. So let's start off by talking about what's plaguing our society. And this is what he said is, there's a word, it's called fatigue. People are just fatigued right now. They're COVID fatigued, they're, riot fatigue. There's so many things going on that people are just exhausted mentally as well as physically. So he says research has found that those with the ability to control their mind had the greatest success in life. I mentioned that. He said, let's start by talking about this word fatigue. Research shows that our minds can only handle 2 or 3 things at a time. Now think about yourself right now. What's going on in your life? Okay. For the last 6 months or so, we've been dealing with COVID-19. Here in the western states, we've got forest fires going on. We've got major riots in some of the major metropolitan areas here in the United States. So there's so much going on, not to mention your personal life, personal relationships, your work, stress from work. Many of you are homeschooling your kids right now. Many of you are working from home for the first time ever. So there's just so many things that your mind can't handle that, and it tends to shut down. Okay, let me stick to my notes so I don't get too sidetracked. But he said, we have so many external challenges going on that we become overwhelmed, fatigued, depressed on a regular basis. Is it any wonder that this is happening because we have so many things going on? Those external challenges are fueled by the fact that we're bombarded by information daily. We have more information in a day. We have access to more information in a day, he said, the research shows, than we did back in 1990 prior to the internet. So we're being bombarded with content and information on a daily basis, more in one day than we used to have access to in an entire year. So our brains are just literally bursting with information. So we're learning that most of us have become reactive. We're being acted upon instead of being proactive. So think about that. The word proactive, another word for that is deliberate. Are we taking actions deliberately, or are we being reacted upon? An example is, if I raise my hand here, if I ask you to raise your hand and I push on it, you're gonna resist, right? Because I'm pushing. That's responding to outside, to the environment, to an external force, right? So think about that when you're thinking about what's you're being bombarded with right now. You're reacting to external forces. Some people tend to either be engaged in life, meaning they're turned on, or I'm going to use a thumbs up for turned on, or they're turned off, they're just existing. And that doesn't mean they're being lazy, it just means they're tired. They're just fatigued because there's so much going on. So you're either turned on or you turned off, and we become turned on by our self-belief. And the opposite of self-belief is what? It's self-doubt, which turns us off. Okay, so these are some of the bullet points that I wrote down as Craig's sharing all this information. And let's go back to being proactive and reactive, okay? We can be positive, but without any action. I mean, it's a beautiful day out here. I can say, hey, I'm happy, I'm positive, but what good does that do? If I don't take action, what did he say? Here's what he said. He says, we have to be proactive intentionally. Okay, so just being positive is not enough. Craig said that the most important skill that he's learned in his entire career. Here's a guy that's in his mid-40s. He's a PhD, he's a college professor, athletic coach, business coach. The most important skill he's learned in his entire career is the mental skill of self-talk. Okay? What does self-talk? And some people think, oh, that's just nonsense. Well, no, self-talk is not nonsense. He says he teaches a can-do mindset. If you write anything down, this is one of the things I want you to write down, a can-do mindset. Because if we doubt ourselves, we don't act, okay? And we're one of those people who's disengaged. And he says, regarding the mind, neurons create energy. So when we say, I can do this, it produces energy. We're very energetic. When we lose hope, we lose that energy. And we just are fatigued and we're lethargic. We're turned off. The conscious mind is an electrical circuit, he says. It communicates, so it is very important that we talk to ourselves. Research shows that we have 300 to 1,000 thoughts every hour. Well, what's the variation between 300 and 1,000? That's quite a difference. Well, it's based on our level of ADD, basically. Are we able to concentrate? So 300 to 1,000 thoughts every hour, and that's why it's so important that we control these thoughts. Are they positive thoughts? Are they negative thoughts? Are they prompting us to be proactive or reactive? The mind becomes fatigued when we're reactive. An example, he says, if we're constantly thinking of COVID becomes our master, okay? And an action that we can take if we don't want COVID to be our master or any other external force, that would be to have he calls it a can-do statement or a positive statement. For example, you can say, I am healthy, I am strong. Instead of thinking, I'm going to get sick because the numbers are up here in Utah. Well, what does that mean? We know these numbers, they could be off by thousands. We don't know. So instead of thinking, well, the numbers are up or the cases are up, I'm going to get sick, think, I'm healthy, I'm strong. And tell yourself that over and over again. And I'm going to share some other things that he taught me in the upcoming videos that are very valuable, but I'm going to leave you with 3 things here before we go. But back to that, he says, that's being proactive. I was driving in today and they'd say, COVID in the classroom. It's a catchy phrase, right? COVID in the classroom. I'm thinking, really, do I need this in my brain right now? COVID updates every 10 to 15 minutes on KSL. I usually listen to news just for a little bit coming into work or throughout my day just to get an update so I know what's going on in the world. But boy, if you consume too much of that, it's just bombarded every 10 to 15 minutes. So when I heard that this morning, COVID in the classroom, I thought, I'm healthy, I'm strong. I'm eating right, I'm exercising, I'm doing everything I possibly can to stay healthy. So that's being proactive. And again, when we react, we becoming disengaged, thinking, I can't do this. We stop enjoying life. Look around you. How many people are actually smiling? How many people look like they're enjoying life right now? We realize there's a lot going on in the world, but there's still a lot of great things going on, aren't there? There's still a lot of things to be happy about. Gallup did a survey. The Gallup organization does polls here in the United States. They did a survey pre-COVID. This was earlier in 2020, and there was already 71% of the population that they considered disengaged. Think about it. My wife and I talked about this, disengaged. We go out to a restaurant and we look at the staff, or you go into a store and you look at people, you look at their faces. Are they really engaged? Are they enjoying what they're doing? Or are they just going through the motions? That's what I considered when he's talked about being disengaged. It's just, you're just going through life. You're just showing up. You're not really passionate about what you're doing. 71% of the population, that was pre-COVID. Guess what it was a month ago? 6 months into this. 87% of the adults are disengaged. That's just it's frightening. We become unproductive. Then we call others and we complain, and they get distressed. Now everybody's distressed, right? Everybody's discouraged. That's not what we need. We need to be encouraging other people and uplifting other people. Here we're in the final stretch here. The answer is we need to focus on solutions. Instead of all the things that are going on around us that we can't control and being reactive to those, we need to be proactive and focus on the solutions. So remember, proactive, reactive, this is according to science, because negative and positive cannot coexist. They cannot both occupy space in the conscious mind at the same time. And this is science, folks. This is not theory. This is proven. We need to think ourselves. He said, instead of reacting to the environment. That word think is powerful. We've got a lot of people that are not thinking for themselves. They're just reacting. Craig, my friend, he calls this the ultimate skill, is thinking for ourselves and that can-do mindset. Data shows through heat signature technology that 95% of the population are in a reactive state. Okay, this is another statistics completely separate from the Gallup poll. This is signature technology that tracks the heat in your brain and the neurons and what's going on, energy. 95% of the population is in a reactive state most of the time. Wow, how do we change that? Well, he gave us 3 assignments. Okay, I'm going to share those with you. Number 1, simple assignments between now and the next video I do in a couple days or early next week. Number 1, have a can-do mindset. We talked about that. So have a couple can-do statements that you can fall back on. Number 1, we already talked about, I'm healthy, I'm strong. That's regarding your health. Another one is, I can do this. Just, I can do this. Whatever it is that you're doing. Last night I was playing tennis with my son. He's 18. He's a better athlete than me. He's in better condition than me. We're playing tennis. I'm down 1-5 games, okay? He's up 5 games to 1. I played tennis a lot longer than him. I had a lot more coaching than he's had. He's just a recreational player, and I was down 1-5. I'm thinking, what is going on? I've never lost to my son. And I started serving that last game. I was serving, and I said, I can do this. I can do this. I'm better. I'm older. I have more skills. I've been doing this longer. I can do this. And you know what? I won 7-6. And I came back and, I don't know if he was just, gave me anyways, he was being nice to me, so I still feel good about myself. But it worked for me yesterday. So try that. I can do this. No matter what you're feeling discouraged, you're down about, or another one that's his favorite. This is Craig's favorite. And whether he says, when I get on the stage and I'm speaking in a large audience or in a boardroom with some powerful executives, or I'm in the conference room with the NBA champs, the Golden State Warriors, and I'm sharing some thoughts, he goes, this is what he says. He says, I've got this. I'm educated, I'm skilled in this, I'm trained in this, I've got this. And you've got this. Whatever it is you're doing, you're good at what you do. Just remind yourself that you are good at what you do. You can do this, okay? That's number 1, is the can-do mindset. Have a couple statements. Number 2, stay positive. It's that simple. Positive, negative cannot coexist. Get rid of the words can't, don't, anything else that might bring on some negative neurons in your brain and shut down the positive. So stay positive. That's number 2. Number 3, stay focused on solutions. That's where the thinking comes in. Think of some solutions to the situations that you can control. Don't worry about the things that you can't control. All right? So those are my thoughts. Again, just to sum it up, mental, emotional skills are so valuable in your business, in your personal life, whether you're raising a family or running a business or a leader in your community. These are things, again, I wasn't going to go into a lot of detail because that's Craig's job. He's the professional. His book, Fearless Mind, The Fearless Mind by Craig Manning. If you want to dig deep into this, it's a short read, probably an hour or two for most of you. I recommend it. And we'll continue with some nuggets in a second and a third video moving forward. So thanks for joining us. Again, my name is Gary Hassan. Goodbye for now.